To determine the proper environment for Phalaenopsis orchids inside your home, you need to consider 4 primary things: temperature, humidity, lighting, and airflow. Phalaenopsis and Greecum, Cattleyas, Vandas, and most Dendrobium orchids are all considered warm temperature orchids. This means that ideal temperature for your orchid is between 70 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. At night, it's actually good for Phalaenopsis orchids to experience a temperature drop, but only about 5 degrees Fahrenheit or 3 degrees Celsius. This actually helps them with the growing process. You can go a little bit beyond that, but you shouldn't go below 65 degrees or 18 degrees Celsius. Though this isn't a completely hard and fast rule. Me personally, I normally keep the heaters around 16-17 degrees Fahrenheit at night, and my phals still do just fine. Though if you can afford it, it probably is best to stay above 65 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 degrees Celsius. Humidity. Humidity for Phalaenopsis orchids should be kept around 50 to 70%. But again, depending on your airflow, this can increase to as much as 78%. So if your atmosphere is lacking in humidity, it's best to either mist your orchids from time to time, taking great care that you don't spray the interior of the orchid or the crown of the orchid, and only stay focused on the roots when you spray. And if you don't want to mess around with misting, you can just either create a humidity tray or buy a humidifier for your home. My single pane windows are actually a bit of a blessing and a curse when it comes to humidity. They get mighty wet, which causes really good humidity. It also leads to more black mold around the caulking. So as you can see, my leaves have been a bit affected by this mold, and it's a constant battle to have them on this little shelf without having them come in contact with the window or the moldy areas. Lighting. Phalaenopsis orchids are considered low-light plants. They still need about 6 to 8 hours of sun, but indirect sunlight is best. Here in my home, you can see that I actually do get a little bit of direct sunlight first thing in the morning. But this is okay because it's before the sun is at its full strength, and the exposure time of direct sun is very limited thanks to the porch overhang that keeps the sun from directly hitting the orchids for very long. Optimally, you'll have to fill this out a little bit for yourself, but you want to have them in that mid-range area where there's not too much direct sunlight and not too little light. Even though they're low-light plants, you're going to have to keep them in an area that still gets a decent amount of indirect sunlight. Finally, something that isn't discussed that much with orchids is airflow. These are tropical outdoor plants normally, and most people forget that their natural conditions have a lot of moving air. So wherever you keep your orchid, it's good to either have a fan nearby or an open window from time to time to keep the air circulating through. Now during the summer and fall, we usually have our window open all day long to keep the airflow moving in. During the winter, we open the window occasionally, but not that much, so the airflow isn't quite as good, but we do try to open the windows sometimes at night in another room to have some airflow in the house. So one way or another, if you can keep some kind of air movement and don't get stale air in your house, this is best. And that's it for the main things you want to look out for when picking a place to put your orchid in your home. Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if you have anything to add to what I've said today or have any questions, please go ahead and say so in the comment section. Until next time, be kind to each other and your orchids.